Glad you could join us. It's time now for our interview segment with Inside NAU's Alexa Dumity.
Thank you, Teresa. Joining me now is Cheryl Miller of NAU Centennial Forest. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Please start by describing the Rogers Lake project.
Sure. The Rogers Lake project is a really exciting restoration project for us here at the NAU Centennial Forest. We're working with our really important partners at Coconino County, who purchased the land just a couple years ago to make the Rogers Lake natural area. And this will eventually be managed as a park. But before it's managed as a park, we're going in there and we are reducing the risk of wildfire and increasing wildlife habitat, and also helping to increase those spring and stream flows into Rogers Lake.
So why is it important to restore the forest to pre-settlement conditions?
Well, it's really important to restore the forest for a number of reasons. Number one, and I think most important to most people in Flagstaff, is to reduce the overall risk of wildfire. I think we all know that our forests are unhealthy, and this is leading to a type of wildfire that is not natural and comes to actually threaten Flagstaff once in a while. The other reason that we need to do forest restoration is to increase wildlife habitat. So the current state of our forest does not actually support the highest diversity of wildlife that it could. And by getting in there and restoring it to how it was pre-1900, we are able to also increase our wildlife habitat. And finally, we want to increase those spring and water flows into Rogers Lake if we can. It's a really important stopping area for wildlife in the Woody Ridge corridor for migration of large mammals. And so that will also help to increase water flows.
How have similar projects like the one at Mount Trumbull helped to change thinking about forest management?
Wow, well, forest restoration is an idea that has been used for a while in forestry because we have come to the realization that the way we've managed our forests in the last 100 years isn't necessarily the best way. And because we have some of the best science here at the NAU School of Forestry, we're now using that to influence our management decisions. And the large project out on Mount Trumbull really let them try a lot of things out before we really brought it to the Flagstaff area.
So what are your long-term hopes for this project?
Wow, I have a lot of long-term hopes. Number one, of course, if a wildfire were to move through this area, it would be my hope that it would drop down to the ground and act more like a natural fire and not threaten homes in Flagstaff. But sort of longer term, I'm hoping that the elk populations really come up and increase, and that it turns into just a wonderful natural area for people in the Flagstaff area to use.
Could you tell us some specifics about the Woody Ridge Wildlife Corridor?
Sure. That's a really wonderful collaborative project that the Arizona Game and Fish Department, National Wildlife Federation, U.S. Forest Service, of course us here at the NAU Centennial Forest, we're all working together to create large migratory areas so that large animals such as bears, elk, pronghorn antelope can move through the ecosystem unimpeded. And they need to have large areas that are not only unimpeded by homes and buildings and things like that, but also areas where the forest is restored and open so that they can see for long distances to get away from predators.
And how will this project support large migrations like the Mexican spotted owl or the leopard frog?
Oh, well, we have lots of plans for the leopard frog. For instance, the county is already reintroducing the leopard frog into their water tanks or ponds there on the section. And we also have a Mexican spotted owl protected activity center nearby that we have worked diligently to actually try not to disturb while our management activities are underway. So we try to manage specifically for those threatened and endangered species so that everyone can come out and enjoy them.
Great. Cheryl Miller from NAU Centennial Forest, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Still to come, NAU's Alumni Office connects a growing number of former lumberjacks.